Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences, like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code LISTEN50 for 50% off, plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50, code LISTEN50.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. My guest today, super cool. Audra Moran is the president and CEO of the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance, OCRA. I say the acronym on purpose because there are a lot of other acronyms coming on the show today. I promise you, you will not be under-acronymed on today's episode. She worked for the Helen Keller National Center for the Deaf and Blind. I've never met anyone that worked for that organization, and I am obsessed with Helen Keller's story. Just a fun fact about me, what she accomplished, the miracle worker on my Mount Rushmore of favorite movies. I got to tell you, whether that's for better or for worse, I'm sorry, Back to the Future. Speaking of Back to the Future, our show is laden with all the Gen X references you could possibly imagine, and we had a fabulous conversation about, nonprofit therapy, what it's like to lead. Cancer is very different than working for the deaf-blind organization for youth and young adults, but youth and young adults are a common thread because lots of young adults are getting ovarian cancer. Not okay, but OCRA is there, and enjoy the show. We were discussing before the show, how is it we've not met?
I don't know. And you weren't in that group with me, so I wish you'd been there. But
I was probably pre-therapy for that group.
Wendy doesn't bill it as therapy, but it really is.
Well, we kind of need that these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, back when life was, I guess, simpler with MySpace, different threats.
Yeah. I know it's so far back, but you're right. Yes, different threats for sure. But, just when I started out at OCRF back then, now OCRA, I didn't know anything, really. It was so helpful to meet other people doing that who felt similarly. It was pretty cool.
Well, we're taping, which is the show. But before even we get to anything, I can't ignore what you told me before, that you know the person that invented Blue's Clues.
Oh. Well, I don't know her as well as my husband, but yes, my husband's cousin's wife, so Angela Santamiro. And at one point, when I first came to OCRA, we were trying to make a connection. She was starting a new children's show, and we were hoping to do something together, and it just somehow, we couldn't find it. Ovarian cancer, children's show, we just couldn't find the match. But I did get to talk with her a few times, and she's really neat.
I feel closer to God being 3 Kevin Bacons away from Blue's Clues. That's great.
Yeah, I know. I think I was telling you, I just missed it, so right. I know it, but I don't know it. And weirdly, we went to someone's house randomly in the town that I live in, nothing to do with Blue's Clues, and 3 writers from Blue's Clues were there.
Oh my God. Fly on the wall, Matt. Fly on the wall.
It was crazy. And again, I have one claim to fame, and that was it. So I played that card. Believe me.
You should have been the Here's the Mail It Never Fails song. Yep. Just try to make your own version of it.
I don't know it. See, I missed all this.
Okay. Well, Kyle, why don't you play the Here's the Mail It Never Fails song just so the listeners can either be triggered or have no idea what it is.
Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
I love it.
That's great.
I found most fascinating in as I was spelunking your entire life, Helen Keller Foundation.
Yes.
That's extraordinary.
Yes, that's where I met my husband.
I want to know all about that.
Well, it's a long journey to get there. I went to school in Florida. I'm from Florida. Born on Guam, raised in Lakeland, Florida my whole life. Very few native Floridians, but I am one. Went to school at University of South Florida, got my master's degree there, was dating somebody from high school, moved to New York. He was a radio DJ, so he got a job on Long Island, and we moved up here. I brought my cat. I didn't have a job, and I found a job in the paper I mean, believe it or not, all 3 jobs that I've had, I've gotten from the paper, which, I mean,
what?
As in, yes.
The what?
Yes, exactly. The carrier pigeons, then came newspapers.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I would go with Mountaintop Beacons of Gondor if I'm going to channel my Lord of the Rings geek, but yes.
See, my
Carry
husband
pigeons,
could hang with that.
Okay.
I can't hang with it.
Done.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did. I got here. I didn't have a job. I needed to get a job. I had a graduate degree, but nothing else. And I looked in the newspaper, and Helen Keller National Center was on Long Island. It was about 45 minutes from where I was living at that point, and I got the job as a rehab counselor there, and I learned sign language. So I had known, the alphabet just through school growing up and everything, but nothing else. And I mean, I wouldn't say I'm fluent now because someone will come up and test me because I haven't signed as much. But
You're out of your ASL world.
Yeah, but I can hang.
Right, like I can speak Spanish here and there.
Yeah, there you go. My husband thinks he can too, but you're probably better. Yeah.
My wife's a speech therapist, like
really?
double board certified and everything, and she can't wrap her head around how Helen Keller was able to accomplish what she was able to accomplish. Do you have a backstory on that?
What
do they mandate that you have to watch The Miracle Worker 11 times to work there?
I never watched. Isn't that terrible? I think Patty Duke was in it. I don't know. It was maybe I watched it like when I was young, but I didn't. No, they didn't force us to watch it. But there were 2 people there that actually used exactly the kind of tactual sign language that she did, which was finger spelling in the hand. Now, there are a lot of deafblind people that use ASL, and, they put their hand over your hand.
Right.
I'm showing you, but no one else can see.
Yeah. On the radio, she's gesticulating.
Yes, exactly. And so you would be signing, but you're signing words. But Helen Keller, from what I understand anyway, at least in the beginning, you finger spelled every single word.
Right.
And we had 2 people there that were married to each other, Dr. Smithis and his wife, Michelle, and that's how they communicated. It was amazing to watch. And I mean, in real time. Really, it was crazy.
I think the heater is giving us some trouble. Guys, if you can hear this, the heater's clanging, but we'll make it a character on the show.
There you go.
Who cares?
Like the sirens.
I've never met anyone who worked or had anything to do with Helen. I just found it so uniquely. I've interviewed thousands of people. Like, first one.
Yeah.
Really incredible.
Well, yeah, it was. It was a really special experience. And, I was direct service, so I worked with the students that were there. They were adults, so it was 18 and up. People would come from all over the country and the world to learn skills, mobility skills, independent living skills. Some people were learning sign language for the first time. So their criteria was deaf and blind, but that can mean a lot of things. So deaf could be hard of hearing. So some people spoke and could hear, but, used FM systems or whatever. Blind could just mean legally blind.
Right.
So there were, gradations all the way up to someone like Helen Keller.
Well, everything's a spectrum.
Yeah, exactly.
How did that inform you as a human being?
It was amazing. I mean, I had never done, I went to graduate school, I did some internships and things like that, but I'd never done direct service before. So to work in something that was so terrifying at first because I couldn't speak the language, it's total immersion. That was a good learning experience, but it was also terrifying. But also just, serving people the way I was able to do did it for 7 years. And I loved it until I didn't. Right. And it was because it got to be a lot. A lot. And there was a lot of, mental health issues, and some people were suicidal. And, it teaches you a full range of skills. And I think that's what I took away from it. But at a certain point, I reached, I think, the 7th year, and I thought I need to do something else.
I was reading that you have a Bachelor's of Arts.
I do,
in
a psychology BA, and a rehab counseling / mental health master's.
Were you a theater kid too?
I was not.
Oh, wow.
No,
okay.
I wish I were. I mean, I love, especially music. I mean, I wish I were musical. I can't dance. I can't clap to the beat. My husband's a drummer. My son plays the piano.
How's that worked out?
It's really good because we have these parties and I get to play. I'm the manager. I get to pick all the songs.
Ooh, okay.
And then they play the songs. And I love them. I just can't dance to them. So
I have to respond to your finding a job in the paper because I found my first job in the paper. And this was in I was in college 92 to 96. I got sick in 96, and then I couldn't do my grad school work.
Right.
But my dad's like, if you're gonna die employed. Like it was kind of like he's a great man. And I was like, I used to fix computers as like a plan B, which became plan A. And I just like one Sunday, the thick New York Times showed up at the house back in those days when it was a thing.
Yeah.
And you help wanted section was 80 pages of tabloid. And I was just sifting through, and there's like Mac kid needed at ad agency, and I circled it and I taped it, and I invented a resume, and you smelly fax paper it over at the local drugstore. They get the fax. They called the home, the yellow corded rotary in the kitchen phone.
Of course.
And I got the job in like 2 days because of the paper.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But it's kind of exciting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I actually mailed mine too.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No, well, all three were like that. So, I've only had three. I've only worked in nonprofit. And so Helen Keller was from Newsday, actual print. The second one, I saw it in Newsday. And this was for NARSAD, National Alliance on Schizophrenia for Research. National Alliance for Research.
Acronyms, damn it, acronyms.
Schizophrenia and depression. I haven't said it in so long. They changed their name. So they're now the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation. But anyway, I saw that in the paper. I didn't think I was qualified. I told my husband, I said, there's this job. It's for a grants administrator. I've never done that. They won't hire me. I had to see it twice. They put it in again like a few weeks later. And so I applied and I got the job. And then I kind of ascended through the ranks there. And then the third one was where I am now. And that wasn't the paper, but it was an online, it was an online paper.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
All right.
Back when it's kind of like the Chronicle of Philanthropy has jobs.
Yeah, sure.
But this was like a pre-version. So it was really generic looking, kind of like a Craigslist.
Right.
And I applied through that and I got that too. So.
How prepared were you to deal with the catastrophic nonsense of people with cancer?
I wasn't, I don't think. I mean, I hadn't been in that world. I had obviously worked in these other worlds with mental illness and with people that were deaf-blind. But no, cancer was a whole new animal. And it was really, I guess I could say each place was humbling in its own way.
Right.
You go in wanting to make a difference and everything, and then you're just immediately, the patients are so impactful. It just really makes a difference. But yeah, it took a while for me to kind of get my bearings because I didn't know anything about ovarian cancer either. And that, I didn't like that. I wanted to know. I felt like I can't be in charge if I don't know.
Did you feel judged by not having that lived experience?
Not really, not in the beginning. I think people are kind, at least in my experience. And,
Yes.
You had a different experience because you were a founder and you had cancer yourself.
Right.
But for me, I came in and, people would say, do you have a connection to ovarian cancer? And I'd say, no,
Right.
I know people that my grandfather had stomach cancer, I've
Right.
known people, but no, not ovarian. Sadly, 15 years later, I can tell you that, of course, I've lost friends, many friends that I've met. But yeah, no, in the beginning, people were really kind and kind of gave me a pass. I think it's about a year in, when it wears off. And now they're like, okay,
Right.
now what?
Yeah.
So I tried to get up to speed pretty quickly.
So I'm going to fast forward to come back. But my favorite Greek god is Sisyphus. Because if there's anything that running a nonprofit that starting from scratch is one thing, then hopping on board or picking up where it's been, because it was around a very long time before you started there. It's just an endless boulder up the hill, isn't it?
It is. Every year. In different ways, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know this, but thinking about thematically, like what we do in terms of research and us trying to identify what's the most important thing, but also money and raising money. There's so many different categories, right? That you have to every year is a challenge. Every year, if you don't do more, you feel like you're not doing your job.
Right. In the Regina George burn book of our space, there have only been a few very successful mergers. And one of them was like when Gilda's Club merged with the wellness community to become the cancer support community, and Livestrong absorbed, Fertile Hope and Planet Cancer and a bunch of stuff. You survived the merger, and I want to hear about that. And you're 4 mergers?
At this current place.
All right. I want to hear all about that, and I want to know from 1 to 10 how much bourbon it required.
I wish I drank bourbon, but I don't.
Do you have a guilty pleasure, though?
I do. It's white wine.
All right. How much white? All right. On the
Cheesy
white
Chardonnay.
wineometer.
Oh.
But I want to hear 4 mergers. Go ahead.
Yeah, 4 mergers. The first one was really, it was a small nonprofit in Atlanta, Georgia. They did a cycling event, but they did it around the country, and they raised money. And we were their national charity that they would give to, and then they would also give locally where they were doing the rides. So it was indoor spinning, called Ovarian Cycle. And so we acquired them. That was the first one, but it was really easy because they were ready to be acquired, and it was really just an event.
It was like a docking into a space station.
Exactly.
It was great. Yeah.
And we just kept it in the name and still have it to this day, actually. So that was wonderful. But then the second one was the big one that you, I think, read about, which was OCNA, the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance, which was in D.C. And I was friendly with their CEO, at the time, because, that people have different CEOs. I had known a few there, and Helen was there. She's a lovely person. She's now the CEO of the ALS Foundation, which is amazing. She's amazing. So we knew each other, and I don't know, over the years we'd joke about it, like, oh, we should totally do something together. Oh, you say that, but what is that? Somebody's going to be giving up their job and whatever.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, she said, I think we should do it. I remember where we were. We were here in Manhattan at a meeting, walking across a crosswalk somewhere. And she said, I think we should do it. And I said, what? I knew what she meant, but, it was that moment of like, what? And she said, yeah, I think it's the right thing. So we did. And it was a lot, but it was.
How long did it take?
That took a year because she suggested it. And, then we kind of had to get her board on board,
Yes. And then your board on board.
My board on board, yeah. My board was on board, I think, pretty much from the beginning because we would kind of be the entity. And I told them the value. There was such value. And what it did for us is we were solely a research grant-making charity at that point. And I had brought in one program called Woman to Woman. It's a peer mentoring program that started at Mount Sinai, and then we took it national. But that was the only patient contact we had. Otherwise, we just gave grants. And they had patients. I mean, they actually had programs, survivors teaching students, where, ovarian cancer survivors go in and teach, medical students. They had a national conference for patients. They had advocacy in D.C. They did all these things that we didn't do. So it was so complimentary. And, I mean, that was what I think made it
Reese's
work.
Peanut Butter Cup.
Exactly. I mean, seriously, right? I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Thin Mints, but some people don't. Not Thin Mints, Junior Mints.
Junior Mints.
Someone said that's like toothpaste and chocolate. I'm like, it just works.
It does work.
It works.
I'm going to agree.
Thank you.
I'm going to agree.
Along with popcorn. If I go to the movie, I need both. But anyway, yeah. So that was a real turning point, I think, for both of our organizations. But it was such the right thing to do to bring those together. Because now we have support, we've expanded it so much, and we've added other support services and counseling and groups and all kinds of things. So that happened in 2016.
Okay.
And then we just had 2 mergers this year, within the last year. So the Clarity Foundation was a organization out in San Diego, and they had services for people with ovarian cancer, and we've known them a long time, good friends of ours. And so we started working on a merger. We met in March of last year to talk about it and started from that point forward. And we just became one on the 1st, January 1st of this year.
Wow.
And then the second has been, I just had to think about it. I swear to God, I almost had a panic attack. I'm like, have we announced the second one? Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Okay.
The Rivkin Center is in Seattle. It's the Rivkin Center for Ovarian Cancer Research. And that was founded by a man named Dr. Joel Rivkin. And he has run it for years. And now his daughter is the chair. And they do exactly what we do. They give grants. And so it was, I guess while we were doing the Clarity Foundation merger, their CEO approached me and said, hey, would you think about taking on us too? And I was like, yes.
I want the theme to Miss Pac-Man to run right now because you're gobbling up all the right things.
I mean, I hope so. It's so friendly too. People hear it and I say it's not a hostile takeover. I mean, this is, we're all friendly and wanted this.
Well, you think of how literally hostile M&Es can be in the corporate world. I'm grateful just even to hear that your white wineometer was probably lower than you expected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it was. I mean, certainly there's always going to be some trials and tribulations and in different areas, but we worked them out.
Yeah.
We worked them out.
All right, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And I have so much more to ask you when we get back.
Okay, no problem.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, Unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
I'll wait till you swallow your water before you spit it out.
Oh, don't spit it on your microphone? Yeah. I hope you have insurance. Okay.
Best spit take ever, Arsenio Hall in Coming to America.
Oh, I can't remember the spit take, but that's one of my favorite movies. I'll have to think about it. What?
It's when they're in like the bar and he plays, again, this hasn't aged well, but he played
Yes.
a transvestite version of himself as a woman.
That's right.
And I'm going to tear you apart. Eddie Murphy, just a spit take. It was fantastic.
They both played so many different characters
God,
in that
that was
movie.
hands down.
I know. I love it.
Fun fact, though, recently Eddie Murphy was talking about how they never realized this, but it was one of the first all-black movies that wasn't
Really?
a blaxploitation movie from the 70s, with the exception of, what was his name, Louis, who's the comedian? He played the guy that said, now I'm washing lettuce, soon I'll be on fries, then the grill.
I don't know.
He was a really famous comedian. My listeners were like, damn it, Matt, remember his name. It's Louis something.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget. But my question I'm sorry, such a wonderful diversion to go back into the 80s.
No, I love it. And I wanted to say, I think they wrote it, right? I think Arsenio
Yeah.
and Eddie Murphy wrote it, which was really impressive.
It was brilliant.
But anyway,
Really.
yeah, we're giving it a big plug. So.
A total plug.
There you
Yeah,
go.
not a sponsor. I wish they were a sponsor. Yes, exactly. Sequel, we will not discuss the sequel. It was pretty good.
Was there a sequel?
It was really bad. Oh. Don't look it up.
Okay, I'm not.
Lots of Rotten Tomatoes in my brain for the sequel. All right. I want to go to what I call the dopamine of leadership, especially in oncology, where you can't help everyone and you desperately want to. And I'll button that up by just saying the worst thing I ever heard that will rent space in my head forever was, if only I knew you were there when I needed you.
Yeah, no, it's very hard. Yeah, I feel like we try to reach as many people as we can. I had a board member say to me once, there's, this many thousand people in the United States that are diagnosed with ovarian cancer every year. And why can't you reach every single one of them? And he didn't say it meanly. He was really issuing a challenge, I mean, and at that time, it was about 22,000 people diagnosed. And he said, if there's 22,000 people diagnosed, and now it's a little less than 20, he said, why can't you identify all those people and bring them to you? And I said, well, we're going to try. And so that kind of became our mantra. If there's this many people diagnosed every year, why can't we? But of course, there are going to be people that we don't find. People that don't have access, I mean, there's so many issues. And so, I mean, not to get too much into all that we do, but of course, my communications person is going to say, get into all that we do, get into all that we do. But, equity has become a huge issue for us. And
we can't say that word anymore.
Okay, well, I hope if the AI bot is going to take this out. No. Okay.
Fuck all that shit. Like, we're going to say it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, health equity is an issue, and people having access to treatment, and a gynecologic oncologist, which has better outcomes. And there are only a few thousand in the United States, and there's a lot more people. So it's an important thing for us, and it became really important, as I learned more, I guess. I didn't walk in the door knowing that.
Right.
But over time, I was like, we need to try to reach everybody.
So given my backstory, I'm curious to see if you find a lot of young adults coming to the organization, and if the trends are still the same in terms of late stage diagnosis, because they're not taken seriously, or primary care doesn't, or OBGYNs don't. Like, what's the story on that?
Well, there's rare ovarian cancers. Ovarian cancer itself is rare. And then there's rare ovarian cancers within that. And that some of those actually will, not most young people are going to have some of those rare ovarian cancers. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of across the board. Some are highly treatable, not really dependent on stage. Others are not. And so, I mean, I don't know what form of cancer that you had.
I had brain cancer.
You had brain cancer.
But I had pediatric brain cancer.
Not glioblastoma.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be here 30 years later if I had that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of progress in that, but that's a tough one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, so that's kind of, yes. So yes, there are some young people. And, you know, what's nice about them is that they're really good advocates for themselves, you know, for the people that come to us anyway. They have their own group. We have different support groups that are actually for young adults. So yeah, there's definitely a different vibe. And I think more empowerment or something. I shouldn't say more empowerment, but just different, you know?
I want to give a shout out to your team. So tell us who's working with you.
Oh my gosh, I have the most amazing team. I'm sure you felt that way when you were with your people too. It's just, you know, you get to be like family. So I have someone that came with me. I call him my work husband. He hates that. He hates when I say that. I don't know why. His name is
Not your drummer husband, your work husband.
No. My drummer husband is Joe, and my work husband is John.
Okay.
So, yes, and with 3 letters. So Jon and Joe. It gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, John's been with me. We've been together since my NARSAD days. He came over with me. Our chief program officer, Sarah, is amazing. She's been there longer than I have. So the 3 of us have worked together for over 15 years now at this point. And then beyond that, we just have this great group of people that we've amassed through the years. You know, when I came, I think we had maybe 7 employees. I'm trying to remember back that far. And now we have, I'm going to guess, I think it's about 22, but then a lot of consultants.
Should you have to guess?
I shouldn't. I shouldn't. But the reason I have to guess is because we have a lot of consultants that we work with too, and a lot of different. So I think of them like the person that runs our survivors teaching students is so known to me that Susan, I'll give her a shout out. She's amazing. I think of her as with us, but then in my mind I have to parse out full time. So yeah, we have about 22.
What do you find? Actually, let me say it this way. When I launched Stupid Cancer, this was like MySpace era and websites were not interactive and things.
What year?
This was in 07.
Okay.
And I built the website myself from scratch because there was no like Wix or anything back then. Wix, not a sponsor. I have to qualify that.
Yeah.
I had 6 buttons on the homepage. And it was like, I'm angry, I'm alone, I'm really sick, I'm infertile, I need a lawyer, I want to rant, X, Y, and Z. It was kind of a heat map to see where the young adult needs were.
Yeah.
What do you think that heat map looks like today in the ovarian cancer world?
If it came and I had the buttons on the page.
Right. Is it money? Is it dealing with insurance and brokers, you know, hospital systems? Is it isolation? Is it fear? Is it psychosocial, mental? Is it what trial to get on?
Yes, all of the above. I would say, you know, a big one would be, I think I might have ovarian cancer and I'm really scared, right? That's a big one. And we get a lot of people that don't have ovarian cancer, but that have maybe an ovarian cyst or something, you know, I mean, they don't know. And it's really terrifying. So I'd say that's a big one. But yes, I mean, once someone has ovarian cancer and comes, then those buttons kind of change, right? And so then they're not just trying to figure something out. I'm afraid, I feel completely isolated. I haven't met another person with ovarian cancer. My doctor doesn't know what ovarian cancer is. He's never met another case. I mean, they know what ovarian cancer is, but people have said their doctors never met anyone else with ovarian cancer. I mean, that's terrifying. Gynecologic oncologists obviously have, but some people are, you know, going to their gynecologist and they're diagnosed that way, or they go to just a regular oncologist, and it just depends on where you are. But yes, I mean, there's other buttons too. And of course they would be, I'd like to make somebody like me. So that's why we have our peer mentoring program that we have, because that's what we do. We hook people up.
Is it a buddy system, or do you connect them to like clinical people, or?
No, it's like a buddy system. So we try to match people on, you know, demographics, so similar age, or someone has kids, I mean, whatever their worries are. I mean, everybody has their own individual worries. Like a young adult, you know, diagnosed with cancer isn't going to be with me who has an 18-year-old kid and whatever. So we try to match people based on, you know, a lot of different factors, whatever's important to them, really.
So what's the latest Star Trek research in ovarian cancer?
The Star Trek research, well, I've been talking about AI a lot, and of course I'm talking out of my depth because I don't really know anything about AI. But I think
it's going to kill us all or save us all.
It's exactly right. Skynet. I mean, it's happening, right? So, yeah, my husband is leading the AI team at work, and maybe I'm giving something away, but he came up with that name last night for his team. I think that's what it's called.
Skynet
from Terminator.
Yeah. Are you questioning my 80s pop culture references?
No, I was questioning mine. He was going to kill me if I said it wrong.
Remember the name of the kid? You get extra points.
Oh. Yes. Hold on. No, I can't just sit here, but I do. Edward?
John Connor. But the actor
John
was Edward
Connor.
something.
Oh, that's right. Yes, John Connor. And then when he's big too. Yes. Anyway, I like the second better than the first, I think.
The second was, so there are divergence here. There are only a few movies that the second was better than the first.
I totally agree.
Lethal Weapon 2, Godfather 2, I would argue, yes.
Terminator 2.
Terminator 2. And I'm going to get shit for this, but I would probably want to say like John Wick 2.
John Wick 2.
Or John Wick 3 was better than John Wick 1.
See, I've watched all the John Wicks, but with my husband and son, and they, have a whole different understanding of it than I do, so it would be hard for me to judge. But yeah. Oh, quick side note, and then we can go back. But what movie do you think was better than the actual book? Because usually that doesn't happen.
Oh.
I have one.
This is a tough one because I think The Grapes of Wrath did a spectacular job representing what Steinbeck really wanted to do in the book. The only thing that, and this is just my inner nerd coming out because it's one of my favorite movies and favorite books, is the opening scene with the son in Oklahoma was like 3 chapters in the book. How he just explained so much about what it looked like, what it felt like in words, and you couldn't really capture that on film. But Henry Fonda does no wrong in my book, literally in my book.
So
and
on par, you think?
I think on par with what it could have done based on the book. Gone with the Wind, obviously, you can't do justice to an 800-page book like that.
Right.
But that's one of the other.
But you might also appreciate not having to read. Not that it wasn't.
I think Shawshank Redemption did a great job, although it was just so under the radar, poorly named.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my one example is Silence of the Lambs. I read the book.
Yeah.
I read the book well before I ever saw the movie, and it was I felt like it was kind of a B novel. And then I saw the movie, and I was blown away and loved it. So we just showed our son fairly recently. He's like, "That was the best movie." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So anyway, we did. I'm sorry.
Do you put the lotion in the basket?
Oh, is he having fava beans for dinner or whatever? He had all those different things. But anyway.
Is there actual prevention in ovarian? What does that mean?
Yes, that is one of our new, sort of new messages that we've been trying to get across is there is prevention. Normally, we would not have messaged to the general public because it's a rare cancer and it's not a cancer that you can screen for yet, not with any good effect, essentially. And so basically, we used to just message to people for genetics. We would talk about BRCA 1 and 2, and we'd suggest that if you had a relative with ovarian cancer or with breast cancer, different risk factors, you should be tested for BRCA. So that was our prevention efforts, I guess, for a long time. And then, I don't know, a few years ago, I guess, we started talking about opportunistic salpingectomy. And
Wait, lots of syllables?
Yeah.
What was that?
Opportunistic salpingectomy.
Salpingectomy?
Salpingectomy.
Okay.
So it's removing your fallopian tubes. So this is a message that can go to the general public because it's about, some women have their tubes tied, when they're done having children and they have that. So instead of tying the tubes can be removed. And if the tubes are removed, that's where most, if not all, ovarian cancer is actually starting. And so
they start in the tubes?
It starts in the tubes.
Wow.
Yeah. There may be some random, but most researchers believe that almost all starts in the fallopian tubes. So if someone had their tubes tied and they were going to get ovarian cancer 15 years later and they had their tubes removed, there's a good chance that would save their life. And other surgeries. So you could be having other abdominal surgeries, and they can also take your tubes out at the same time. And as far as anyone can tell, and there are some long-term studies making sure there are no long-term effects.
So I met my wife when I was 5 years out of treatment. Still a hot mess because 90s cancer care was like gulag, crazy shit.
Yep.
And her brother was sick with cancer and he eventually passed away. So it was a weird getting to know you. But like a year or two later, she had extraordinary pain in her ovary. And I was at Livestrong at the time. And of course, that's a crazy trigger. Turns out when you're dating a guy that's a cancer survivor and your brother passed away from cancer, you tend to be a little hypochondriacal for the right reasons. And it was the closest I'd come, thankfully, knock wood to date, to having like that experience with a partner. Wow. Turns out she had a dermoid cyst, which was really creepy because it had like teeth and bones. It was like one of those like conjoined twins that like lived inside you.
I've read about that.
It's so weird.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
But so she had the ovarectomy. And thankfully, I think the scar tissue at all these years later is like a gift that keeps on giving kind of thing. It's a good problem to have.
Yep.
But that's why we had the miracle of my twins, where I had no sperm and she had one egg.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm sorry. I had no sperm and she had one ovary. But they found enough of this and enough of that, and the kids happened. But
that's incredible.
I like you. I've been immersed in this space. I've lost tons of friends. It's a terrible privilege to do what we do.
Yeah. But that brings tears to my eyes. It is. You're right. That's the really apt way of saying it. It's a terrible privilege.
All right. And this is probably unique to people like us. How many times are you contacted by just people you know saying, I have a friend with cancer, whether it's ovarian or not, what do I do?
I would say at least once or twice a year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when I've been there 15 years, it's a lot. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and even sometimes just kind of random people. So if you meet someone at a party and you tell them what they do, what you do, then they start talking to you about it.
Right.
And they want to call you. So I'm kind of putting that in a different category. But people I actually know, yeah. At least one or two.
Or my dog had cancer. We don't want those people.
Well,
they mean well.
Yeah, of course. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have like a horror story of writing a grant? I always find that to be something that is a wonderful trigger for people that just spend their life writing terrible pharma grants.
Oh, pharma grants. Yeah, I don't write any pharma grants. We have somebody that does.
You dodged a bullet with that.
Yeah, I think I did. We have someone that does it. She's very good at it.
I have empathy for that person.
Yes, I do too. And a lot of appreciation. Jessica, shout out to Jessica. No, I'm trying to think if I haven't written as many grants. I came and we started doing direct mail and events.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah,
Direct mail?
Exactly.
The Red Book catalog cutouts?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I wrote those.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
That's hilarious. Yeah, So we had all these different revenue streams, and events were a big thing back in the day. I have some horror stories that are related to events, but not so much grant writing for me. But why did you have a trigger with grant writing?
Oh, I still write grants.
Oh, you do?
I feel like the people that designed the site wrote the Hunger Games.
Just take it a sip of water.
You're welcome for that one.
Okay, that's hilarious.
They're just an exercise in human torture.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we just applied. I'm sure everybody else in the world did as well to the Melinda French Gates Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking for women's health. They put out a call for proposals open to any organization. So again, I think probably everybody in the world has probably applied for it. That was a challenge because it had to be so short,
Yeah.
I mean, and I understand why they do that. I get it. But you just feel like you have so much to say,
Well, brevity is the soul of wit, and ChatGPT makes it happen.
Don't I know it?
It's a good use of AI.
I've decided that Google is like the Dewey Decimal System back when you actually had to without computers. Do you remember how you'd get a number?
Card catalog, yeah.
And you'd go to the card catalog. And then people might not even know what we're talking about.
Or microfiche.
Right, and microfiche. And you turn that dial. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'm telling you. I told my husband yesterday, I said, Google's like the Dewey Decimal System, the card catalog. ChatGPT is so much easier.
It's unfairly.
It's unfairly.
If you know how to control it.
And probably inaccurate, but
Yeah.
When I'm looking for a restaurant to meet, between here and Grand Central, it helps.
Yeah, but what do I do with my cancer diagnosis? Please, no. Worse than Dr. Google.
See, that scares me.
Yeah.
Yes, see, because I wouldn't look at that.
No.
But people would, and I
People
don't blame them. But
Yep.
yeah. For example, I looked something up today, and it quoted us. I didn't even ask it about OCRA. I was asking another random question, and it came up and it listed what we gave in 2018. As if that was where we are now.
Wow.
So it's not perfect.
No. Do you have a favorite hero story of what you've learned the most? Or it's like picking your own favorite kid. Mm-hmm. I'll give you, for me, the one, it's a Mount Rushmore. You got to pick just kind of four of them. But the most incredible thing I was ever told that I will rent space for the right reasons in my head forever about the impact I didn't know I was making. Someone said to me that my doctor may have tried to cure my cancer, but stupid cancer saved my life.
Oh, wow.
I want to macrame that somewhere on the wall.
Yeah.
Do you have a version of that? Like looking back, you don't realize the impact you're making.
Yeah. I mean, we did. Yeah. We had someone who left us a very generous bequest. And, it was really an amazing gift to us. And fortunately, we had known her, so she was a part of our lives. And she said, towards the end of her life that OCRA had made all the difference to her. And I mean, this was recently. So I've heard, variations of this story, I guess, but this was just so impactful because at the time, I don't even think we knew she was planning to leave us anything. And, it still had impact. That was amazing.
Yeah.
She said this was so... I think she had planned to not have treatment essentially. And then she came to us and decided to do it. And she did. And then she participated in our groups and just talked about how life-changing it was, and that was really special. And then she left us this incredible bequest, which was just lovely. But, bequests are, as you know, a mixed bag because that means someone passed away. And so we hate them. And of course, when people do, it helps us keep funding research. So.
All right, last question before the lightning round.
Sure.
Of course, there is one.
Exciting.
It's an AI lightning round.
Okay.
At 3 a.m, when all of this piles up on you, what's your go-to self-care practice?
Flipbook on my iPad.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it aggregates articles and you can tell it what you like. And yeah, that's what I do. I wake up every night at about 2 a.m. This is just me. And I'm awake till about 4. So I just look at Flipbook. I read
good
it.
news, I hope.
Well, it's a mixed bag.
You can doom scroll. It's hard.
I don't. That's why I'm not looking at certain papers and things. Because I don't want to look at the papers. But I like Flipbook because sometimes you get a random article about, Paul Rudd. I don't know, I'm making it up.
Who can also do no wrong.
Can do no wrong.
Yes.
Agreed.
All right. The lightning round is I ask AI that if your life were a Netflix series, who would you be a mix of, given the pop culture zeitgeist of the last 30 years of film and television?
Based on looks or personality?
I fed it as much of the spelunking. I even downloaded one of your YouTube interviews and built a transcript and sent it to ChatGPT.
Okay.
No one ever guesses because it's totally random.
Yep.
But I will just tell you for the listener, say, drum roll, please. You are a combination of Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh, I love that because I love her.
Because you're running the show. You're breaking the barriers and you're making it all look effortless. I will attest to that.
I'm going to throw my beret in the air. Okay.
You'll like this one. You're Gloria Steinem because you're unapologetically pushing for change, rallying people, and making the right voices heard.
I like that.
And this one, I kind of was like, okay, you're Dennis Hopper in Easy Rider. I mean, gender's the whole thing these days.
I didn't see Easy Rider, so I can't really comment.
Well, now you have to watch it.
We're
going to audit it and get back to me.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
There's a little bit of rebel in you.
Okay.
Challenging the system and refusing to play by the rules. And I will also add managing a John and a Joe in your life is a major accomplishment.
Thank you very much. I'll tell them you said that.
Yes. Audra, what a great name, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's rare. It's uncommon. It's you.
Oh, thank you.
You are an Audra. Audra Moran, CEO of the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance.
Yes.
All right, acronyms.
Yes.
OCRA.
OCRA. Yes.
OCRA. What's the website?
OCRAhope.org.
OCRA. We'll put that in the episode descriptions.
Great.
I'm so happy to meet you.
I am
It's been
too.
a long time coming. Ships in the night.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll be wine buddies now.
Oh, I like it.
Yes.
Bourbon and wine.
Bourbon and wine.
All right. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
All right. See you later, everybody. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Out of Patience with Matthew Zachary is a production of Matthew Zachary Worldwide. The executive producer is Matthew Zachary. It is mixed and edited by Kyle Moore. If you like the show, ratings and reviews are always welcome wherever you get your podcasts. If you have guest suggestions or would like to learn more about sponsorship opportunities, email podcast@matthewzachary.com. For more information about Matthew Zachary and Matthew Zachary Worldwide, visit matthewzachary.com.
Shopify's point of sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. Need a fast and secure way to take payments in person? We've got you covered. How about card readers you can rely on anywhere you sell?
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yep, that too. Want one place to manage all your online and in-person sales? That's kind of our thing. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.